I want to introduce our guests who are already in studio with us. We have Kabando, who is the former legislator of Mukurwe-ini. Also, we do have with us Moses Kajwang, senator from Homa Bay. We have also Ledama or Kina, who is a senator from Kajiado. Farah Maalim, who's Narok. Hey. Thank you for that correction.
But you might as well give me both.
Then we have also Farah Maalim. Farah Maalim is the vice chair of the Wiper Party. And also, we do have Poghisio. Samuel Poghisio is the senator of West Pokot. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us this morning and looking at the headlines and following the debate that has been ongoing as far as the referendum divide is concerned. Also looking at the headline, this particular team that has been, of course, unleashed. This is in light of what we do know of the Raila-Uhuru pact with a handshake as well. I just want to hear what are your comments about this particular team. Did it meet your expectation? Of course, earlier we discussed another one that was mooted and people were saying this is a speculative team, but right now we see this is the ultimate team. Let's see if, from Kabando, your expectation for this particular team.
Thank you very much and good morning to viewers. Just a quick scan on the names.
Yes.
These are very respected individuals. Individuals who have played very key and respected roles,
yes,
in their domains, senior leaders in the nation with the requisite experience and with the intellectual or knowledge capital,
yes,
to enable them do something important for this country. And actually, individuals were largely senior enough not to do anything that would mess their names. So expectations are predictably very high.
Very high. So let's look at the names, and of course we do also have their faces as well. Retired Bishop Peter Njenga. We have also Bishop Zacchaeus Okoth. We have Rose Museo, right? If you may just pick up. Yes, thank you. We have also Yusuf Haji as well, Adam Zolo, Agnes Kavindu, Amos Wako, James Mutundura. We have John Seil, Lawi Imadiu, and Maison Leshomo. That is what we do have here on page 6 and the rest as well. So it seems this is a mashup of politicians and also the clergy as well. But it seems also looking at that particular list is heavily leaning on the clergy as well. I don't know why is that and what is the expectation from a clergy, let's say from Moses Kajwang.
Thank you, Debarl, and good morning. The list looks, proper. It has got good guys. My colleague, Senator Amos Wako is in there. Yusuf Haji is in there. Those are people I've worked with, and I know that they are people who care for this country. It is a little difficult to assess whether it is up to the task or not, because the terms of reference have not been clearly defined. Beyond the statement that was released at the steps of Harambee House by President Uhuru Kenyatta and His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga, we are still not very sure what exactly their job description would be, what exactly their terms of reference would be. Just one comment I would make on the list is that I wish that there were a few youthful figures as well, because it's not just about where we've come from, it's also about where we're heading to. And the future is something that, yes, I'm not saying that it's only the youth that can discern the future, but you require a mix of experience and youth to be able to crystallize what we've gone through and to be able to break down certain aspirations. Those aspirations are not just political, neither are they only constitutional. There could be aspirations that are technological, there could be aspirations that are social in nature. So at the risk of sounding like I'm prematurely discussing the matter before seeing the terms of reference, but I wish there could have been more youthful faces just to add to the experience that people like Amos Wako and Yusuf Haji bring to the team.
But maybe that will have been the tripping wire. Experientially, they were deemed maybe to be weight behind the years as far as this is concerned.
But really, if you're building bridges for a prosperous Kenyan future, then you also need people who have a stake in that future.
Right. Let's hear from Olekina?
I've looked at the list. I have to admit that I hadn't seen the list.
Yes.
I'm not impressed with the list.
You're not impressed?
I'm not impressed at all. Because when you look at the people who were named in the list, people who are some of them are people who are for the establishment. We want people who will be able to divorce politics and development. I'm looking at my colleague, Amos Wako. I remember we had the Amos draft,
yes.
the Wako draft of the Constitution, which was rejected. I respect my colleague very much, but I think there are certain people who are named here who are mostly for the establishment. People who will not be able to divorce politics from the reality on the ground. I also share the same sentiments with my brother Moses Kajwang, that because the population, the majority of the population we have in this country now are between the ages of 18 and 35, it was imperative for that list to include youth. This business of just bringing in claggies, we know that the church has been used as a business. In fact, most of the problems we have in this country now, some of them are brought in by the fact that we forgive. You know, the church say forgive. But I want to remind them that we might forgive, but we might never forget. So it is important I'm actually disappointed, to say the least. I would have expected to see other people who have been in the movement, struggling, you know, to bring this change. People who are in the technical committee, who are working hard to bring in certain changes from the NASA side of it. But I'm just seeing some people brought from outside. So it's like in Masai we say, Ledama. You become that little animal that dig holes for other people to come in and cave in them. So for me, in my strongest opinion, this list needs to be reworked. You need to bring in intellectuals. You need to bring in people who can be able to see the future of this country. Some of the things we are talking about is, you know, either or not. We need a referendum. We need people who can be able to explain to us the meaning behind why do we need these changes. You know?
Yes.
So for me, I'm really not impressed. I can say that.
Not impressed, but what really informed also the selection of this, so to speak, the panelists of this, or the committee, or the constitution of this particular list? There was no consultation at all?
Consultation? Consultation from where? This is a system which is being run by two individuals. So we are yet to see what are their terms of reference. What are they going to say? I mean, consultation, it might actually spoil the whole thing. So sometimes it is necessary for them to take the action and actually just say, these are the people we want to represent us. Yes.
All right, let's hear from Farah Maalim.
Well, I think the two previous speakers have put it very succinctly. Other than this, these are the people who you would have brought together if there was a conflict along the Luo Kalenjin border or the Kalenjin Kisi border. You would bring in the bulk, a good number of course, Adams Oroy is a very young, very brilliant intellectual. But you see the rest of them, you look at it right now, other than Adams and I don't know Agnes Kabando, but I know Rose is a very peaceful and a very, very good lady. These are good people. There's no question about that.
Yes.
But what is it that we are looking for? This is the point. What are the terms of reference? And besides that, other than two or three of them, they're extremely, very conservative guys. People who are there right from the Kanu days. Yeah. People who are there much later than that. People who are very good in executing orders from above. You see what I mean? Being told what to do and they would do it. I clearly, there is also a very, very loud void of young, very restive intellectuals in there. People who would want to look at many different systems and say, what's the best and how can we put these things as a very powerful and both intellectual and academic exercise, but then see how that also can be put into reality, who can engage the nation. You see, the nation is at the crossroads, very powerful crossroads.
But why would you want a young, restive
because that is essentially, we have looked for a quick fix for our problems for 50-something years.
But the word restive is
restive means basically people who really want to see a change. People who want to see this country run politically in the age, in this what you call fiber optic age.
No, my understanding of Restive is someone who's stubbornly resisting control.
No. That's not. It's somebody who wants to bring a change. Basically, that's the point. Restive is you probably understood it wrong, or I maybe understood it wrong myself. But what I want is people who want change, people who cannot wait for change. But the change itself, combined with a very powerful intellectual disposition. If we had somebody like Makawa Mutua today here, I wouldn't mind. I know he has issues that many of us might not agree with him that easily. But even if you had an old guy like Yashpal Guy being part of this team right now, Yash has got this powerful, wealth of intellectual disposition over this period of time.
Yes.
So you need, this country cannot be fixed with a band. It's not a band, it's not a small thing, you fix it. But you see, what happens in this country always, some elites sit somewhere, come up with basically what they want, and look around for the people who are going to try and legitimize that through some kind of a roadmap, as a commission, as a committee, as a team of elders like this. I mean, that's basically what it is. We want to look at this thing in its own totality. If it's the constitution we are looking at, I have no problem. Personally, I'm one person who has advocated for certain changes in the constitution for a very long time. How are we going to get about it? We're not going to get into a situation in which we're going to say, let's think first of all of a power structure that can create a majority. And then you look at that and then you say we need to have a deputy president, a ceremonial president, ceremonial deputy president, 3 or 4 what you call deputy prime ministers. That is nonsense. We want something that is going to take this country to the next stage of development, and we want a system that is lean, by the way, lean. If you're going to go for the prime minister's position, you cannot do with anything more than 2 deputy prime ministers and a ceremonial president. Right. But you see right now, if the whole idea of calling for this thing is an elite self-preservation, and it is inclusion and exclusion. Include some and exclude others. We want so and so and so and so. They can bring these constituencies. How do you put together? Now that's when we end up with conservative people like this ones right now, who basically are just going to be told what to do, and they will bring that what they call in the manner that's going to be scripted for them.
All right, so for your estimation, then these are just stooges who will just rubber stamp. What will
I don't want to call anybody a stooge, but it's not impressive. It's not the kind of a team that I would need to bring about a change that is going to steer us to the next what you call level of development. And in this what you call super this is an age, this is digital age. You have to look at everything and see how we can. This country has been held back for far too long. People who are like us in 1963 are Korea, for God's sake, and Malaysia and the rest of them.
Right, let's hear from Poghisio, then we'll take a short break, then we'll of course continue with the discussion.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The viewers. And I think, we are beginning to beat up this thing, which is just in the formative stage. We should be thankful only, first of all, that the 2 leaders have even made this effort, showing us they have a way forward. I think that should be the beginning. But I'm willing to give it a benefit of the doubt. Debarl, I see a big, in this list, I see a big thing about peace, reconciliation, cohesion.
Absolutely, absolutely.
If that's the team that's going to do that, then I'm sure this is probably a good
right
team.
One. Yeah.
I see a little bit of a team that's going to deal with constitution. Because when you have people named there who are lawyers and former attorney general and so forth, you begin to think maybe there's something constitutional going to come out of it. And so I'm hoping that this is in the formative stages and we'll be told more. So I don't really want to get into the idea of where we're going, because we don't know where we're going. But I see a team of people who must have been vetted, especially in terms of corruption. I hope, because that's one of the things they're going to discuss is corruption. And so I'm hoping that this team is a team that, I guess that's why probably there's a heavy clergy presence. These are respected retired bishops who have no more interest in many things. They are ready just to work. But I have seen in the names there that I think the big thing is about community cohesion, reconciliation, and putting Kenyans together. So let's begin with that and see how else we move.
All right. And we continue apace with our conversation here with our panelists. We're holding court this morning with Senator Samuel Poghisio, who is the Senator of West Pokot. Also, we have Kabando, who is a former legislator from Mukurwe-ini. We do have with us as well Moses Kajwang, a senator from Homa Bay. Also, we have Ledama Kina, who's a senator from Narok. We do have with us as well Farah Maalim, who is vice chair of the Wiper Party.
Deputy party leader.
Deputy party leader.
Yes, don't.
Of Wiper. It's been long since you've been on the show, so I'm losing track as well, also of your title. Let's see from you, Farah. I hope we've not, or have we exhausted? I think when we were talking a short break, I was seeing also Kabando standing at the list to say something in regard to what we're discussing here with the handshake deal team.
Yes, absolutely. When you look at the list, you're not looking at a committee of experts as such. So what we need to first look for is the mandate of this team. The general mandate is about unity, cohesion, bringing the country together. And there cannot be any doubt that there is anyone on this list who can be averse or who can negate the interest of national peace, integration, and cohesion. If we expect this to be a committee of, say, constitution making, that would be a program. So this is a panel of respected individuals. If you look at retired Bishop Peter Jenga, one cannot say that he's a conservative individual. This is the only bishop who gave homage and rescue to the mothers of political prisoners from 1990, 1981, in the bunkers of the Cathedral, All Saints Cathedral, the Anglican headquarters here. This is a man who gave his church on the 2nd of May, 1992, for Kenneth Stanley Jido Matiba to arrive and to be dedicated in prayer. This is a man we know very well, Provost. He is a chairman, co-chairman of the Gema Cultural Association. And lately, if you have been tracking, he has been very involved in negotiations for peace with the Luo Council of Elders, with the Kalenjin Council of Elders. He has been very active. The retired bishop of the Methodist Church of Kenya, Lawi Matthew, I remember very well his submissions to the Saitoti Committee on reviewing the proposed review of the Constitution in 1990, in the aftermath of the Sabasamba rallies. Then you see Major retired John Say, who in this country can say that John Say has not been committed to peace in the volatile part of this country in different times. So, generally speaking, and you know, I just left Parliament last year. We were there with the former Deputy Speaker, Farah. A lady like, without mentioning everybody, a lady like Leshomo from Saburu is hugely respected across Parliament. And if you trace where she has come from a nominated councillor to, you know, our country bombers of Kenya and so on and so forth. So let us, what I'm saying in short is, let us give credit and let us be patient with this list. We know we need, you know, to have young people involved, and that's a very important point. But don't we have a genesis of something, then we roll out. But if we, as senior leaders, we start bashing at this very nascent stage, then we'll just be discrediting the handshake.
But the picture that maybe they want to see is, of course, given the 9-point agenda that we have with, with the two the two coming together on that particular handshake deal, there is a 9-point agenda that was actually thrashed out. We thought maybe, or maybe the estimation will have been, looking at the faces that we have, they will have drawn from a kaleidoscope of experiences that maybe points out to the 9-point agenda. Because peace is not the only issue that we'll be discussing on the national dialogue, isn't it?
So which of the 9 is not involved?
That's what I'm asking you, and that's what I'm asking our panelists this morning to just inform me. Which of the 9-point agenda that you feel has not been captured or amongst these faces that we have this morning, Moses?
Debarl, I will stick to what I said earlier, because until we are told what is a specific mandate of this team, it becomes difficult. Is this the team that is going to take Kenya to planet Mars? If it was, then it would be the wrong team. We have Francis Ole Kaparo and his NCIC. Is this a team that is going to do part of what Francis Ole Kaparo's team would have done? Then it is a perfect team.
Yes.
This is a team of leaders, senior statesmen and elders who can bring together communities and can bridge some of those divides. Is this the team that will implement some futuristic development agenda?
No,
then
no,
it would be the
never.
wrong team. So once that clarity is obtained, we are able to assess. But the statement that came out was that these would be advisors. They would be advisors to the secretariat headed by Kimani and Mwangi, and they would also advise President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga. I think to that extent, because everyone has got, is justified to choose his advisors. To that extent, we must give President Uhuru and Raila Odinga that benefit of doubt. We must allow him, we must allow the two to move on with this team. I only wish that there were more youth in the room. That is my only wish, because whatever it is, be it bridging ethnic divides,
yes,
be it issues of corruption, whatever it is, we are not building bridges to the past. Bridges are supposed to be futuristic, and we should have had more people with a stake in the future in that room or as part of advisors. And I don't think that we've got a shortage of young people who can play that role.
And of course, this has been also the cases with the appointment that we saw recently, that a regurgitation of still the same old faces as well, of maybe people who lost during the political electioneering period, and the old faces that we know maybe they were in other corporations as well, and maybe they're given a soft landing to these particular positions. You can also maybe address that, Kina, and say, a youthful posture, even when it comes to the parastatal boards, no face at all.
I think we're trying to forget where Kenya is at this particular time, and picking up from where my two brothers have contributed, I see this team only as people who are going to bring the Kenyans together to say, let us forgive each other and let us move forward in a peaceful way. Because I think that was one of the biggest problems which the two leaders alluded to, national reconciliation. If there is an issue of national reconciliation, then I have no problem with the team. But if we are talking about advising the two leaders on what needs to happen in this country, in regards to the issue of a new constitution or sticking to the old constitution, I would have expected to see the civil society there. They have been very vocal, and they've been able to bring in, and they can be able to be neutral. The problem with us politicians, and I take blame for this, is that we will only fight for what is in our best interests. All this, or even the 2010 Constitution, which came out after a team of experts was put in place to look at all the three different constitutions that had been proposed. What eventually was produced was only something that was of the best interest of the politicians who were in the heart of negotiation. So I want the two leaders to come out and tell us that this team will only advise the two of us in regards to how we can bring the country together to heal the wounds, how we're going to compensate those people who are killed, how we're going to move forward. Because the more I look at the list, and I think this is something that we shared here, is that the two young people, not really young because they're in their 50s, Olo and Morongai, would probably end up just being the people who would take the minutes, because everyone else there is much older. So what we want to do is that we must be able to divorce our own interest and the future of this country.
All right. Farah Maalim.
What really worries me in the manner we have transacted politics for a very long time in this country is the lackluster manner in which we think we can serve an individual's interest or a certain ethnic community's interest and then call it a national interest. When you talk about community, elders of this community and elders of this other community meeting, and it's all about how do we then have that harmony between the two, and it's nothing national. I've never seen the chair or the deputy chair of the Gema cultural or community, or the Luo or the Kalenjin for that matter, meeting the Somali elders, the Pokot elders, the so-called the Giriama elders, the Digo elders. We need a national process here. And I remember very well one time, and I went to, you know, Kabando is a good friend of mine and is somebody who has contributed so much to this country. I just hope people, young generations right now, do not forget the efforts done by people like Kabando when they were in the university, and some of us were in politics. I remember when Michuki, when he was a minister in Kibaki's government, and he was told we need to change the constitution, he said, what's the purpose? Why do we need to change the constitution? We wanted to get rid of Moi, and Moi is gone. So what do we care? You know what I mean? It's like, and as long as the constitution is powerful constitution that allows me to behave in the manner in which I want and, you know, have a lopsided, what do you call, development and everything else is in my hands, then there's no need of changing it. Yes. I remember I have a lot of respect for Bishop Njenga. I was one of those people who were always there in the cathedral, although I'm a Muslim. I still sat back there and watched what was going, the happenings, including holding one of our own elections there, because it was the only place we were sure that nobody was going to come and police were not going to come in. But after Kibaki became the president, his own fellow kinsman, who has seen Njenga in any of our activities? You get my point? After a fellow mountain person became there, where did we see Njenga now, Bishop Njenga, actively involved in changes and saying what is happening in Northeastern is not right, what is happening in parts of Rift Valley is not right, what's happening in Coast Province? No. You see, we have to, we can't cheat ourselves anymore. People are all so educated, and so we've all, you want to get 100 PhDs right now, you'll get them from Pokot easily, from Somalis easily. This is not 1963, when we had just a few people and two communities, the Luas and the Kikuis could come together and basically chart the way forward for this country. No. We need a national dialogue. We don't need a dialogue based on power and elite, what they call, negotiations, not on ethnicities, not on individual, what they call, interests. That is where the problem is. And we're heading in that direction. That's why we're saying this team, I respect this team so much. It's good to supplant them to the NCIC team of Ole Kaparo, because I haven't seen them do much for the last a good number of years. But beyond that, I don't see them doing anything else for this country, not with the kind of challenges we have right now, other than retaining that conservative, what they call, picture, and basically coming up with a script given to them and trying to legitimize that.
So the question will be, again, let's hear from Poghisio before I ask this question.
Yes. But my only contest in this would be, I don't understand the point of using, for example, sitting members of parliament and senators and so on. Exactly. Who have enough in their own hands to work and around. So I don't know what the purpose is, because we have so many people out there who can still do the same thing without having another position. And those are the things that we need to look at. Otherwise, in my position right now is that we have two people here who have, by just shaking hands, have brought some measure of peace. And let's help them move to the next level. But they must also, you know, listen to us. I hope they're listening, so that they now know that, that there are some few questions with the team, and that they can begin to make changes. I don't think there is anything permanent in the terms of appointments. I would not, for example, bash them, and I don't think anybody's bashing them. We are simply saying, if what I see in the paper there is true, this is the unity team. So I'm hoping that there are other teams that are going to be formed to deal with certain agenda that are coming up. But for now, I am willing to say that let's bring. But I also don't think we should be discussing the individual by names, because it's not their own fault. I mean, people have been appointed, so it's not their own fault.
But you have your own volition also to decide the appointment as well.
I'm saying
it's not that you're shoehorned to this particular appointment.
But I'm saying if you should, I think the best thing, Debarl, is if you want to deal with these people, deal with all of them. Okay? If you isolate only 3, you know, or 2, and deal with them, you might think that the others also don't have defects. Everybody has a defect of some kind. But give the average performance of this gentleman we see here. I wanted, for example, to start and say, for Bishop Njenga, what happened when he was very, very effective, as you were saying? He was, that time, the provost and had the key to the church. Mm-hmm. But when he became bishop of Mount Kenya, I think Mount Kenya East or South, he then moved away from Nairobi, and he became a bishop and shepherd of another group of people. So that that's why you never saw him. It's not because he stopped caring. All
right, as we're winding up on this, maybe the ultimate question.
We still had Maranzeki, Bishop Maranzeki, who, regardless of where he was until he passed on, would not what do you call the one who died in the accident, Mukurwe-ini, is it? Bishop Muge, and the one who went to the U.S. and stayed for many years from Lo Nyanza. They're all these people who always never stop talking about topical issues in the country, wherever they are. And I think and that's what we need in this country. We need leaders who basically get the feel of problems in Nordistan, in Coast Province, in Turkana, everywhere in the country.
All right. I think before you go,
yes,
there's a point that I would like in support of what Honorable Senator Poghisio is saying, and perhaps in a lightly rebuttal to my senior Farah. As I said earlier, people shift positions depending on circumstances and occupations in life. Provost Jenga went ahead to be a bishop for Mount Kenya South, Diocese of the Anglican Church. In the last 3-4 months, perhaps unknown to some, there perhaps isn't an individual who has traversed this country from Eldoret to Kisumu to Migori to Coast in pursuit of negotiations and integration, ethnic integration, and focusing specifically on hotspots post August 8th elections last year. Bishop Jenga has been very, very quietly involved in reaching out to communities. And I speak about this because I've been tracking this quietly, and I've been quietly involved in, lobbying for what is happening now. And so, let's give credit to these elders who have retired from their high positions in the society, be they in the clergy or the church, be it in the professions, and give them the platform that they deserve. And also agree that you can reposition yourself and continue contributing to society
even when you are past.
Even when you are retired.
All right. But the question will be, again, if we are looking at the clergy, we have is it Reverend Stephen Kobia in the office of a president, right, who's handling, I think, matters of cohesion as well.
National cohesion.
National cohesion.
For a very long time.
For a very long time. Why are we having duplication? Then we pick another clergy as well, while we can maybe have roped in Reverend Kobia as well. Duplication. And what will be diametrically different from now that this particular national cohesion or the national dialogue team that will do that is purely different from national cohesion? Because we have the national cohesion team led by Ole Kaparo. We have also from the, for the Ministry of, I think it's in the Ministry of Interior still, we have another cohesion team.
Allow me to
duplicating the same stuff.
Debarl, because I've had the benefit of sitting with Raila Odinga, who briefed us as members of ODM and members of NASA parliamentary group. This was an initiative driven by the desires of the two leaders to unite the country. They have made a commitment that they're going to do what it takes to realize that which they promised the nation. They've also made a commitment because we've had all these structures that we've cited. We've had integration teams within the presidency. We've got an integration team within interior security.
Yes.
We've got an entire constitutional commission, NCIC, led by Kaparo, on integration. We've got parliamentary committees on integration. And over the past 4 or 5 years, they don't seem to be delivering that which is required.
Yes.
And the two gentlemen made a commitment that they wanted to do a fresh start outside the established bureaucracy, outside the established civil service. Obviously, there will be areas where the establishment will be required to deliver certain aspects. But for us to have this fresh start, you know, if we were to argue that setting this up would be a redundancy, we would also argue then that because Parliament is an institution that is created for palaver and for people to discuss issues affecting the country, then all these things on building bridges should have been brought to Parliament, National Assembly and Senate, and maybe to county assemblies. I admire the approach taken by the two gentlemen, and I admire the personal commitment. There is only the risk that when it is a personal commitment between two leaders, if one leader wakes up in a bad mood, then it scuttles everything. But so far, the commitment is shown, it has been demonstrated. When the two leaders shook hands outside the Harambee House, there are those who said that this thing is dead. In fact, Aden Duale is quoted in the papers as saying that the handshake is dead. They are celebrating the handshake as being dead because he says that there will be no referendum. For me, the handshake is alive because the two gentlemen have sat down and they've come up with a list. It is not perfect. It is not going to satisfy everyone. In a country of 50 million, if you are going to pick 14, definitely 49 million people are going to be unhappy. This handshake is alive. This personal commitment is good.
Thank you.
It is working. It has cooled the temperatures. And let's allow this team to provide that leadership. They can as well work with established bureaucracies, but they can now give the leadership.
All right. Before we come to Poghisio, let's
if you will just add my 2 cents on this. From what I gather, and even from the conversation that we're having here, is that it's as if the national cohesion team led by Kaparu has failed because of all the problems that we've had in this country. Now, either the mandate given to Kaparu was not clear, or whether he did not have the balls enough to be able to ensure that he brings the country together. Now, one of the things that I support 100% is a handshake because of how it cooled down the temperature. Whether I agree with what will come and follow is something that will come in within time. What I'm concerned about, and this is where I think we fail in this country as leaders, is that we know what we want to achieve, but we do not demystify it. We do not break it down for the people on the ground to be able to understand. As leaders, it is imperative for us to know what does this team, what is the mandate of this team. And I sure do hope that tomorrow, on Wednesday, I think Wednesday, God willing, when the president will be addressing the joint session of parliament,
yes,
he will be able to demystify this. He'll be able to say, this is the team that we've been able to set up to carry out the following functions. But if we are talking about bringing radical changes, which includes the restructuring of, or rather, the redrafting of the constitution to be able to include everyone, this to me is not the team to do it. We want to see an inclusive team. We want the civil society involved. We want the youth involved. We want, executives, people who are out of politics involved, and then we want politicians involved. Because if we leave this process to be led by purely politicians, or if you leave the process to be led by purely the religious leaders, then we are doomed to fail. It is important for us then to say we're including everyone.
Let's run up on it right now. Farah, then we come to Poghisio. You want up on this particular topic? We move on.
Yes.
Briefly.
No. I think this has been put very well. There's no terms of reference. Let's see what exactly are the terms of reference. But as of for now, this does not look like the committee that's going to take this country to the next level of development in terms of the re-engineering of all our institutions. As of the people who have been there, I agree with Kabando. Bishop Njenga has been there in the four corners of this country. But like I said it in the first place, the four corners of this country includes also Kasarani, when 5,000, 6,000 Somalis were incarcerated there, like, Second World War, Japanese Americans were done. The four corners includes also the kind of floods you're seeing right now in Tana River and all those places. What is happening, the starvation and the things that are happening in Turkana, in Samburu, in Upper Eastern. I mean, the presumption that we are going to perpetuate the old, what you call colonial thing of using these areas, so-called former NFD, as a buffer zone to the high potential, and you think that if you can reach a friendship between the Luos and the Kikuyas, you're home and dry, you're in business. Or you can have the Kalenjins and there, you're home and dry, or the Luyas. I mean, this is the kind of politics that still is in this country. We need to get over that politics. That ethnicization of politics itself is what has bedeviled this country. And when I hear elders from this community, elders from that community, I mean, all these things, in my opinion, is only there to protect self-interest.
Thank you.
Of certain power elites.
Right.
So we want to go forward. Let us get the nation moving. Let's have a national dialogue. Let's have a national process for the first time in this country.
All right. And of course, you are not really happy with the team that is being formed right now, or has been formed right now.
It's a very good team. I mean,
dialogue, but you're not happy with the team.
If you take me right now to NASA to go and work on rocket technology, I wouldn't be able to do anything about it. I'd be very good in somewhere else. these people can do something else very well, like what they said, replant them, or transplant them with a Kaparo, what do you call commission, or the Kaparo. But beyond that, I don't see anything else they can do in the challenges we're facing right now.
All right. So Reverend Samuel Poghisio is also an advisor to the president, as I mentioned, on the peace, cohesion, and conflict resolution. Why do we need another advisor on the same? That's the question we're trying to raise. Of course, right now we really talk about austerity measures and a blotted wage bill. Why do we need people who actually will just regurgitate the same sentiments that has been there, and we know them before? Briefly, as we wind up with this.
Well, I can't say why we can't do that. I can only tell you that the team which has been put together is part of the team that will bring down those temperatures and go around the country.
No, but my question is on the duplication of functions.
Well, I'm coming to
that. We know they'll bring temperature, but the duplication of functions?
But remember that the two leaders have their own teams working for them, and they'll be part of this whole thing. These are the people from outside who have been appointed. The rest who are working with the president, those who are working with the prime minister, will continue to be part and parcel of that. I don't think they will need to be reappointed since they're already in those positions. The point I wanted to bring in at the beginning was that the team which I see, including people like Ole Ronke, these are people who are not interested, who have not been interested in politics. Ole Ronke is an academician and so on, Olo and others. I see a team that will fulfill the mention that was made, I think, during the Matiba burial, that it is beyond 2022. This is not the team that will be worried about 2022. This team would be clearly a uniting team. And I think that when I look at the list, none of these people would then be a factor in thinking about who is going to be this or that. So I believe, I think it's a good team to bring down those temperatures. But I have already mentioned to you that I don't necessarily support the idea that sitting members of parliament should be active in this right now, because politicians, in their own nature, can easily politicize anything.
They'll advocate their own interests.
So I'm just thinking that, but again, in the wisdom of the two leaders, and because they're coming to address us, the president is coming to address us on Wednesday, I think post-Wednesday, we should then be able to comment clearly on whether this list is valid, is able to lead us or not. But for now, the idea of unity, I agree with them.
Right, but of course.